Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at Lesson 35 from A Course in Miracles.
Okay, sounds good.
This one's all about seeing yourself as holy as part of God.
Yeah.
Which might sound a little out there. I know, but
it's a big one.
It is. Stick with us. We'll explore what this really means and how you can start to apply it in your life. Okay, so first, let's hear what the lesson itself says. Ready for some thought-provoking stuff?
Let's hear it.
Here goes. My mind is part of God's ideally. I am very holy. Today's idea does not describe the way you see yourself now. It does, however, describe what vision will show you. It is difficult for anyone who thinks he is in this world to believe this of himself. Yet the reason he thinks he is in this world is because he does not believe it. You will believe that you are part of where you think you are. That is because you surround yourself with the environment you want, and you want it to protect the image of yourself which you have made. The image is part of this environment. What you see while you believe you are in it is seen through the eyes of the image. This is not vision. Images cannot see. The idea for today presents a very different view of yourself. By establishing your source, it establishes your identity, and it describes you as you must really be in truth. We will use a somewhat different kind of application for today's idea, because the emphasis for today is on the perceiver rather than on what he perceives. Wow, that's a lot to unpack.
I know, right?
So you're saying our perception of ourselves shapes our reality.
Yeah.
And the reason we feel stuck in this world is because we don't believe in our own holiness.
Yeah, that's a really insightful way to put it. It's like we've forgotten our true nature, and instead we're clinging to these limited images of ourselves. The Course calls these images and distinguishes them from true vision.
So how does this play out in everyday life?
Sure.
Like, what's an example of seeing through images versus having true vision?
Okay, think about it like this. You go to the gym and see someone lifting a ton of weight. Immediately you feel inadequate comparing yourself to them. That feeling of inadequacy, that's an image. It's your ego judging yourself based on external measures.
Okay.
True vision would be recognizing that you are inherently worthy and holy regardless of how much weight you lift.
Right. And I know this is building on earlier lessons about separating our true selves from our egos. But what's interesting is it's not always about negative self-perceptions.
Yeah.
Sometimes I catch myself feeling proud of, say, helping a patient who is really struggling. But even that good feeling could be my ego wanting a pat on the back.
That's a great observation. Even seemingly positive attributes can be rooted in ego.
Right.
The Course encourages us to question all of those self-labels, both the good and the bad. It's about recognizing that our true identity goes beyond those temporary states.
Okay. I'm starting to get the picture. But how do we actually shift our perception? The lesson mentions these 5-minute practice periods. What exactly are we supposed to do during those?
Yeah, the lesson says to sit down, repeat the main idea. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. And then just observe the thoughts that come up.
So it's not about forcing ourselves to feel a certain way, but more about becoming aware of how we're currently seeing ourselves.
Right. It's about acknowledging those thoughts without judgment and gently reminding yourself of the truth.
Okay.
That you are part of God and therefore holy. This challenges the ego's limited view and opens you up to a different way of seeing yourself.
I can see how this could be challenging.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in our usual thought patterns. How do we stay consistent with this practice throughout the day?
That's where the real work begins. The Course suggests setting reminders maybe on your phone or using sticky notes. The key is to make it a conscious effort to weave this awareness into the fabric of your day. It's not about perfection. It's about reminding yourself of your true nature as often as you can.
That makes sense. So even if you're in the middle of a crazy day at the doctor's office seeing patients back to back, you can still take a moment to pause and remember, my mind is part of God's fill. I am very holy.
That's the idea. It's about taking those little mental breaks to reconnect with your true self, even amidst the chaos. Those small moments can have a ripple effect throughout your day.
I love that image of a ripple effect. So it's not about achieving some kind of constant state of holiness, but about these little reminders that gradually shift our perception over time.
Right. It's a process, and it takes time. The key is to be patient with yourself and keep coming back to the lesson, to the idea of your inherent holiness.
This has been really helpful. I'm already starting to think differently about how I see myself.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
That's great.
Okay, so let's move on to some more examples of how this lesson might play out in our daily lives.
Yeah, sounds good. So it's fascinating how this idea of holiness challenges our typical ways of thinking, We're so used to evaluating ourselves based on external achievements or comparisons to others.
It's like we're constantly trying to prove our worth instead of recognizing that it's already there, inherent in our very being.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're not our accomplishments or our looks or even our good deeds, then who are we?
That's the question A Course in Miracles invites us to explore. It suggests that beneath all those layers of ego, there's a core of holiness, of pure, unconditional love that is our true identity.
That's a beautiful concept, but I'll admit it's hard to grasp sometimes. Like when I'm at the gym struggling to keep up with the class and I'm feeling frustrated and out of shape, it's tough to remember that I'm supposedly holy.
Yeah, it's certainly not easy. The Course doesn't expect us to magically transform overnight. It's a process of gradually shifting our perception, of choosing to see ourselves through the eyes of love instead of fear.
So in that moment at the gym, instead of getting caught up in the self-judgment, I could try to remember that my worth isn't tied to my physical abilities, and that underneath it all, there's this spark of holiness.
That's the idea. It's about recognizing that those negative thoughts and feelings are temporary. They're not the truth of who you are.
It makes me think about those times at the doctor's office when I'm feeling really confident after successfully diagnosing a patient. It's easy to get swept up in that sense of accomplishment. But the lesson suggests that even that could be ego-driven.
Right, even seemingly positive attributes can become a source of ego identification. It's not about denying our accomplishments or striving to be emotionless, but rather about recognizing the deeper truth beneath those feelings. Your true worth isn't contingent on whether you make a correct diagnosis or not.
So it's about finding that balance between acknowledging our human experience, the good and the bad, the successes and the struggles, while also remembering that there's something more, something deeper that defines who we truly are.
Precisely. It's about holding those two perspectives simultaneously. The human experience and the divine spark within.
Okay, but how do we do that? Like, how do we keep this awareness going throughout the day when we're bombarded with so many distractions and demands?
The Course emphasizes the importance of practice. It's like building a muscle. The more we intentionally choose to see ourselves and the world through the lens of love and forgiveness, the easier it becomes.
So even if it feels forced or unnatural at first, just keep coming back to that idea of, my mind is part of God's kinds of friend.
Yeah.
I am very holy, and trust that eventually it will become more integrated into our everyday thinking.
That's a great way to put it. It's about cultivating a new habit of mind, a new way of being in the world. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Lesson 35 mentions that our perception shapes our reality, right?
Right.
So if we're surrounded by people who are also striving to see the world through a more loving lens, it can make that process a lot easier.
Yeah.
We can support each other, remind each other of the truth, and celebrate each other's growth.
That's such a valuable reminder. It's not about isolating ourselves in some spiritual bubble, but about creating a community of support as we navigate this journey together.
And remember, every step we take in that direction, however small, creates a ripple effect that extends outward, touching the lives of those around us. It's about becoming a beacon of love and forgiveness, not just for ourselves, but for the whole world.
Wow, it's amazing how much we can learn from just one lesson of A Course in Miracles.
I know, right?
We've covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
From the difference between vision and images to the sneaky ways our ego tries to keep us stuck, and even the idea that our perception shapes our reality.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. I'm curious, though, about the practical side of this. Like,
Yeah.
we can talk about concepts all day long,
Sure.
but how do we actually live this lesson?
Yeah.
Like, how do I bring this awareness of my holiness into those everyday moments, especially the challenging ones?
Yeah, that's a really important question, and it's something the Course addresses directly and encourages us to see every situation, every encounter, as an opportunity to practice these principles.
So it's not just about those dedicated 5-minute practice periods, but about integrating this awareness into every aspect of our lives.
Right. It's about becoming more mindful of our thoughts, our reactions, and our choices throughout the day. For instance, let's say you're at the gym and you notice that old pattern of comparing yourself to others creeping in.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
Instead of letting that comparison spiral into self-judgment, you can use it as a trigger to remember the lesson. You can gently remind yourself, my mind is part of God's ox usurpation. I am very holy. And in that moment, you're choosing to shift your perception to see yourself through the eyes of love instead of fear.
So it's like using those challenging moments as opportunities to strengthen this holiness muscle.
I like that. It's about recognizing that every experience, even the difficult ones, can be a catalyst for growth and transformation.
That makes me think about those times at the doctor's office when I'm feeling overwhelmed, maybe even a little resentful, because I can't fix everything. I can see how easily that could turn into self-blame or frustration.
And that's where the lesson offers such a valuable tool. Instead of getting lost in those negative feelings, you can pause, take a breath, and remember your true identity. You can affirm, my mind is part of God's station. I am very holy. And choose to approach the situation from a place of love and compassion, both for yourself and for your patients.
It's like we're constantly choosing between two lenses, the lens of the ego, which sees the world through fear and judgment, and the lens of holiness, which sees through love and forgiveness.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And the more we practice choosing that lens of holiness, the clearer our vision becomes. We start to see the world and ourselves in a whole new light.
This has been such an incredible journey. I feel like I have a deeper understanding of not only Lesson 35, but of Course in Miracles as a whole.
Yeah, it's a journey of remembering who we truly are, divine beings full of love and light. And as we continue to practice these principles, that light shines brighter and brighter, illuminating not only our own lives, but the lives of everyone we touch.
Well, that brings us to the end of our exploration of Lesson 35.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this journey with us and feel inspired to continue exploring A Course in Miracles on your own. Remember, every moment is a new beginning, a chance to choose love, to practice forgiveness, and to remember your inherent holiness. Until next time, may you be filled with peace and joy.
I woke up to a miracle today.